The stars burned cold and endless as the great alien fleets gathered above the conquered world. Dozens of armadas filled the black sky, their warships stretching so far that even the planet's oceans reflected their endless rows of light. Each vessel hummed with power, cannons charged, fighters swarming like insects around a nest. The aliens believed it was over. Humanity had been summoned, and humanity would kneel. Inside the Grand Council chamber, floating above the planet, alien generals stood tall in their shimmering armor. Their voices echoed with pride as they spoke to one another. "Humans are late," one sneered, his scaled lips curling. "Perhaps they are already crawling on their knees. Too afraid to stand before us," another general laughed, her eyes glowing a faint blue. "They are soft creatures. They break easily. They fight one another. How can such beings resist the might of the galaxy?" The chamber filled with cruel laughter, yet when the heavy doors slid open, the room fell silent. A lone human walked inside. His boots echoed on the polished floor. His steps calm, steady. His uniform was plain. No shining armor, no weapons. Just a human standing before the galaxy's strongest empires. The aliens watched in disbelief. Whispers spread through the chamber. "Where is his guard?" One voice muttered, "Where is his army?" Another hissed. The human stopped in the center. His gaze was sharp, unwavering. He did not bow. He did not tremble. He looked directly at the leaders as if he were the one in control. An alien commander slammed his clawed hand on the table. "You dare stand before us alone? Do you not understand? Humanity belongs to us now. You will kneel, you will surrender, or you will be erased from the stars." The human's lips curved into the faintest smile. "You have already made one mistake," he said quietly, his voice carrying across the hall. The aliens leaned forward, confusion spreading. "And what mistake is that?" The commander demanded. "You believe we came here to beg," the human replied. "But humans do not kneel, not to tyrants, not to empires. We came here to watch." The chamber erupted in laughter again. The alien generals mocked him openly. "Watch what?" One of them spat, "Your own destruction?" But the human's silence was heavier than their laughter. His calmness unsettled them. It was too quiet, too deliberate. A younger alien officer leaned close to his superior, his voice low. "Why does he stand so still? Why does he not argue?" Before an answer could come, the chamber's lights flickered, the air shifted. A faint vibration ran through the station walls. At first it seemed like static, a simple disturbance, but then it grew stronger. The glass panels trembled, the floor shivered. An alien technician rushed into the chamber, panic in his voice. "Admirals! Strange readings at the edge of the system, massive energy signatures, unidentified vessels approaching fast." The laughter in the chamber stopped. Every alien turned sharply, their expressions tightening. The commander hissed, "Impossible! No fleet dares approach us unannounced." The technician's hands shook. "It is not just one fleet, it is many, and the design. It is human." The council roared with outrage. "Lies!" shouted one general. "Humans have no such fleet. They are barely spacefarers." But then the chamber screens lit up, showing black space at the edge of the system. Tiny dots blinked into existence, more with each passing second. They were not dots for long. The sensors adjusted, revealing colossal shadows emerging from hyperspace. The alien leaders stared in silence. Their mighty fleets suddenly seemed smaller. Weaker, the human in the chamber spoke again, his voice soft. "For years you watched us as prey, for years. You mocked our silence, but while you laughed, we built." The screen filled with Terran ships. Sleek, dark, built not for intimidation but for survival. Their armor carried scars of testing, of battles fought in silence. Each ship burned with energy fields unknown to alien science. The human continued, his words slow and steady. "You thought we were weak. You thought we would kneel. But tell me, how do you kneel when you stand among giants?" One of the alien generals slammed the table, trying to mask his unease. "We have more ships. We have greater numbers. You cannot win." The human tilted his head slightly. "Numbers do not matter when fear spreads faster than fire." As if on cue, the chamber shook violently. A deep boom echoed through the station. One of the alien battleships had been split in half. Terran cannons had spoken for the first time. The wreckage drifted across the void, flames scattering like dying stars. Panic spread through the alien armadas. Their formations broke, commanders shouting over each other. Ships fled, others fired wildly. Discipline collapsed in moments. The human envoy stood still, watching the chaos unfold on the screens. His eyes were calm, his presence was unshaken. He spoke one final sentence, each word cutting through the chamber like steel. You wished for humanity's surrender. Instead, you will witness the rise of Terran might. Silence followed, broken only by the distant screams of defeated fleets. The galaxy's strongest had come to demand humanity's chains. Instead, they found themselves staring at their new masters. The alien commanders sat frozen, their arrogance shattered. The envoy turned and walked away, never once looking back. His boots echoed again, steady and unbroken. As the chamber doors closed, every alien realized the truth. Humanity had never been prey. They were predators who had only been waiting for the right moment to strike. And the galaxy would never forget the day they learned that humans do not kneel. The silence after the first Terran strike lingered like smoke in the council chamber. Alien commanders sat rigid, their scales and armor gleaming under the flickering lights. The great fleet outside had just witnessed something they never thought possible. One of their strongest warships, a vessel meant to symbolize power, had been torn apart in a single blast. The human envoy stood calmly in the center. His face gave nothing away. His words still echoed in their minds. Humans do not kneel. An alien general slammed his claw on the table, his voice shaking with anger. This is a trick. Humans cannot build such power. This must be stolen technology. Another hissed in return. If it is stolen, why do we not recognize it? Why does it look unlike anything we know? The chamber turned into chaos, voices rising, accusations flying. They argued with one another instead of commanding their fleets. The human simply stood, his eyes scanning the screens that showed the unfolding battle. Outside, alien ships scrambled into formation. Squadrons of fighters swarmed forward, cannons lit the dark, beams of light tearing across the void. The humans did not retreat. Instead, their ships moved with terrifying precision. Not scattered or panicked, but coordinated. Each Terran vessel shifted in perfect formation, their movements sharp, their silence heavier than the sound of battle. The first alien strike met a wall of human fire. Explosions ripped through the alien front line. A dozen ships vanished in blinding light. The fleet that once laughed at Earth now cried in confusion. Inside the chamber, one alien commander barked, "How many ships do they have?" "Tell me now," a technician's voice cracked as he read the scans. "They keep coming. Hundreds, maybe more. They are blocking out the stars." The alien generals froze. The galaxy's strongest empires had gathered their forces here, yet humanity had matched them and surpassed them. The human envoy finally spoke, his voice calm. "Do you understand now? You studied us as weak. You believed we would kneel. But you never understood the one truth that shaped us. And what truth is that?" One alien demanded, his voice trembling with both fear and rage. The envoy's eyes narrowed. "On Earth, survival is war. From the moment we rise, we fight against nature, against ourselves, against everything that tries to crush us. You thought peace made us weak. But peace only gave us time to prepare." The words struck harder than weapons. The aliens had studied Earth, but only from afar. They had never believed the whispers of a death world. They had laughed at the warnings. Now the truth unfolded before their eyes. Another blast shook the chamber. The aliens turned to the screens. A Terran dreadnought fired a single volley, cutting through a squadron of enemy cruisers as if they were paper. The explosions lit the darkness, scattering wreckage like falling stars. Panic gripped the council. Some shouted for retreat. Others demanded to fight harder. One general sneered, "No species fights without fear. Even humans must break." The envoy's lips curled slightly. "Fear does not break us. Fear builds us. It sharpens us. It teaches us to strike harder, run faster, fight longer. You think we came unprepared? No, we have been preparing for this moment since the first time one of your ships dared to orbit our skies." The chamber grew quiet again. His words carried weight heavier than their warships. Suddenly the lights dimmed. Emergency alarms rang. A technician gasped. Another signal. Different from the fleet. Something larger approaching. The screens shifted at the edge of space. Something massive stirred, bigger than anything the aliens had ever seen. The Terran flagship, forged in silence, hidden from every eye, emerged from hyperspace. Its shadow stretched across the stars, dwarfing even the greatest alien dreadnoughts. The alien leaders stared in horror. The envoy did not look at the screen. He already knew it was there. His eyes stayed on them. "This is not conquest," he said softly. "This is warning." The alien commanders exchanged uneasy glances. For centuries they had ruled with fear. They had forced weaker worlds to kneel. But now, for the first time, they felt what their victims had felt. Powerlessness. One of them snarled desperately, "You cannot rule the galaxy. Humanity will fall as others have fallen." The envoy's gaze turned cold. "Perhaps, but if we fall, we take you with us. That is the promise of humanity, outside." The Terran flagship opened its wings, cannons glowing. Smaller Terran ships swarmed around it, like wolves protecting their alpha. The alien fleets wavered. Some fired half-hearted shots. Others pulled back. Already, discipline was gone. Inside the chamber, fear turned to realization. The arrogance that had fueled them vanished. The human stepped closer. His voice dropped to a whisper. Yet every ear heard, "You thought we would kneel. Instead, we learned to rise, stronger than you could ever imagine. Remember this moment, because it is the day you understood the meaning of Terran might." The room fell silent. No one laughed, no one mocked. The screens showed only chaos, the fall of fleets that once believed themselves eternal. The human turned, his boots echoing against the chamber floor. He left them with no more words. The sound of the door closing was louder than the explosions outside. For in that silence, every alien realized the truth. Humanity's age had begun. The battlefield stretched across the stars. Fire and wreckage drifted in silence. Where once the alien armadas had stood proud, the humans had struck with precision, their warships cutting through fleets that had once been feared by the entire galaxy. Yet even as victory seemed certain, the air inside the alien council chamber grew heavier. The defeated were not broken yet. The alien commanders sat in silence, their eyes locked on the screens. Watching ship after ship fall, none dared to speak, until one of the elder generals leaned forward, his voice low. This cannot be. Humans should not have this power." A younger officer trembled. "We underestimated them. They built in secret." "They hid their strength," the elder hissed. "No, not strength. Not just machines. Something else drives them. I can feel it. They are not like us." Before more could be said, another explosion lit the void. The chamber shook as the Terran flagship fired a volley that split an alien cruiser into fragments. Screams echoed over the comms. A fleet of once proud warriors now begged for retreat. The human envoy stood calmly in the center. He had not moved since the battle began, his eyes cold, his expression unreadable. His very presence unsettled them more than the cannons outside. Finally, one commander broke the silence, his voice sharp with desperation. "What do you want? Why bring this fleet? Why now?" The envoy turned his gaze slowly. "You asked the wrong question. It is not what we want, it is what we will not allow." The aliens stiffened. "And what is that?" The envoy's words fell like stone. "We will not allow chains, not on humanity, not on any who seek freedom. You sought to make us slaves. You sought to break us, but in doing so, you forced us to rise." His voice was calm, but every word carried weight. Some commanders looked away, ashamed. Others clenched their jaws, anger burning but helpless. A loud alarm cut through the chamber. A technician shouted, "New energy spike detected." Another fleet incoming. The aliens froze. "More humans?" one asked in disbelief. The screens flickered, revealing hundreds of smaller ships emerging from hyperspace. Not Terran designs, but vessels of different shapes, different colors. They were ships from other worlds. Races once crushed under alien rule, gasps filled the chamber. One commander snarled, "Impossible! These worlds were beaten long ago." But the ships appeared one after another, carrying the banners of species thought too weak to ever stand again. And at the center of them all, Terran signals pulsed, guiding them. The envoy's voice was steady. "When you ruled alone. When we rose, we did not rise alone. Others watched, others waited. They saw your cruelty, they saw your weakness. And when they saw us stand, they remembered how to stand too." The chamber shook again as the new fleet joined the Terrans. Alien empires that had once mocked humanity now watched in horror as smaller species fought with courage beside them. Their fleets struck alien battleships, coordinating with human fire. One alien general whispered, "They unite the broken. They turn weakness into strength," the elder general growled. "No, this is more than strength, this is belief. They believe in something greater. That is what makes them dangerous." Outside, the balance shifted. Alien ships that once thought themselves unstoppable now fought a two-front war, facing Terran cannons on one side and the fury of freed worlds on the other. The darkness of space became fire and light, chaos breaking their proud armadas. In the chamber, one commander rose, his face pale. "We cannot win. The galaxy will turn. Humanity will lead them." The envoy stepped closer, his voice low but sharp. "The galaxy does not need rulers. It needs balance. You took, you enslaved, you crushed. We bring something else. We bring choice." A furious alien slammed the table. "You speak as though you are saviors. You are conquerors too." The envoy's eyes narrowed. "No, we conquer only one thing, fear, and once it is gone, your empires will crumble without us lifting a hand." As if to prove his words, the chamber shook again. An alien dreadnought exploded on screen, not from Terran fire, but from the attack of a smaller allied ship. A species once considered powerless had delivered the strike. The alien leaders stared in disbelief. It was not only Terran might they faced. It was Terran influence, Terran unity. Humanity had not risen alone. They had lit a spark that spread through the galaxy like wildfire. The envoy turned, his voice final. "You feared our kneeling, you feared our weakness. But you should have feared our rising. For when one human stands, others follow. And when humanity rises, the galaxy rises with them." The doors opened. He stepped out, leaving silence behind. The alien commanders said nothing, for they understood that the war was no longer about fleets and weapons. It was about something deeper, something they had never mastered. Humanity had awakened belief, and belief could not be destroyed with fire. The wreckage of burning ships drifted across the dark, their shattered hulls glowing faintly in the cold silence of space. The alien armadas that once filled the stars now looked broken, scattered, yet even in defeat. There was no surrender, not yet in the council chamber. The alien leaders watched the screens in disbelief. "How can this be?" one commander muttered, his voice low. "Our fleets have ruled for centuries. No one has dared to stand against us." Another slammed his claw against the table, his tone full of rage. "They cheat. They use weapons stolen from others. They cannot have built this alone." The human envoy stood in the center, calm as stone. His eyes swept across them. His silence was louder than their shouting. Finally, one alien leaned forward, his scales glinting in the dim light. "Tell us, human, why reveal your strength now? Why not before? Why hide until this moment?" The envoy's voice was steady. "Because you forced us. You thought we would kneel. You left us no choice but to rise." The chamber grew tense. The aliens shifted uneasily. None could deny the truth for centuries. They had taken weaker worlds, crushed voices that dared to resist. Humanity had been different. Humanity had waited, prepared outside. The battle raged on. Alien fleets tried to regroup, but every maneuver was answered with precision. Terran ships moved like blades, striking fast, retreating sharp. Striking again, the alien lines fell apart. A sudden alarm pierced the chamber. A technician shouted, "New signals!" More ships entering the system, the aliens gasped. "Reinforcements?" "Our fleets." But the screen showed ships unlike theirs. Vessels of smaller size, different shapes and colors. worlds long enslaved, long beaten into silence. Their banners rose for the first time in centuries. They had come to fight, and they fought beside the Terrans. The council erupted in disbelief. "Impossible!" one general hissed. "These races cannot fight. They are nothing but laborers. They have no armies." Yet the screens told the truth. Fragile ships once thought powerless. Struck with fury, every beam, every missile, was aimed not at the humans, but at their former masters. The galaxy's broken voices had found strength. The envoy spoke again, his voice cutting through their shock. "You never understood. You ruled by fear. But fear breeds hatred, and hatred waits. It waited for us. And when we rose, they rose with us." An older alien slammed the table, his voice heavy. "This is not war. This is rebellion. If they join humanity, our empire falls." The envoy turned his head slightly. "Not rebellion, awakening." On the screen, a Terran battleship fired, shattering a dreadnought. At the same time, one of the smaller Allied ships pierced through a cruiser's weak point. The combination tore open enemy lines. What had begun as a Terran strike had turned into a storm of many voices. One alien commander whispered, "How do they fight like this? They were beaten, starved, scattered. How do they rise now?" The envoy's gaze was unshaken. "Because they remembered hope, and once hope returns, you cannot kill it." Another explosion shook the chamber. The lights flickered, flames burned in the distance of space. The alien empires that once thought themselves unbreakable now crumbled piece by piece. Still, one of the generals leaned forward, his voice sharp. "Do not think this makes you rulers. Human, you may win battles, but the galaxy will never bow to your kind." The envoy's lips curved faintly. "You are right. We do not ask them to bow. We ask them to stand, and when they stand, they will never bow to you again." His words hung heavy for the first time. The council understood that this war was not only about weapons. It was about belief, belief that spread faster than any fire, belief that turned the weak into fighters. The alarms blared again. The technician's voice cracked. "Enemy losses. Catastrophic. Our fleets are retreating. Commanders are abandoning positions." The aliens looked at one another. They saw fear in each other's eyes. The fear they once used to control others now spread among themselves. The envoy stepped closer, his boots echoing, his voice dropped, softer but sharper. "This is not the end. This is the beginning. You thought humanity alone was dangerous. But humanity awakened the galaxy. You made us rise, and in doing so, you made them rise." The doors opened. The human turned and walked out. His figure disappeared into the shadows of the corridor. Behind him, silence gripped the chamber. The screens still showed the battle, flames burning across the stars. Ships once feared as invincible were now scattered ruins. And around the Terran flagship, the united fleets of once slaves circled. Their banners high, the alien generals did not speak, for deep inside they knew the truth. They had not only lost a war, they had lost control of fear itself. And when fear dies, empires die with it. The stars were still burning with wreckage when the first whispers of a counterstrike reached the chamber. The defeated alien generals did not speak of surrender. Not yet. They spoke in hushed tones, voices tight with fear, but also with desperation. Their fleets were broken, their pride was shattered, but their empires still stretched across countless systems. They were not ready to bow to Terran might. One commander slammed his hand against the glowing table. "We cannot allow this uprising to spread. If the smaller worlds believe humanity can protect them, they will all rise. We will lose everything," another hissed through sharp teeth. "Then we strike back. We burn their allies first. Show the galaxy that siding with humans means death," the council murmured in agreement. Their fear turned into cruel resolve, but in the corner of the chamber, the human envoy stood, his expression calm. His voice broke the silence. "You believe burning worlds will save you," he said quietly. "But fire does not kill hope. Fire spreads it." The aliens turned toward him, hatred flashing in their eyes. One growled, "You speak as if hope is stronger than fleets, stronger than empires." The envoy met their gaze without fear. "It is. You have ruled for centuries with fear. You thought it would last forever. but now your own fear has become your chain. You cannot break free. Before the aliens could respond, alarms rang again. A technician shouted, "Enemy forces regrouping. Large numbers retreating beyond the system, forming new lines." The generals leaned forward. "They still have millions of ships across the Empire. This is only the beginning. Humanity cannot face them all." The envoy's lips curved into the faintest smile. "You still do not understand. Do you think this is humanity alone? Look again." The screens flickered. They showed fleets arriving from hyperspace. But these were not human. They were the ships of the newly freed, small worlds that had waited for centuries. One by one they poured in, each fleet bearing scars of oppression, yet each flying boldly beside Terran banners. Gasps filled the chamber. The aliens stared at the growing armada. They had fought rebellions before, but never like this. Never so organized, never so fearless. One alien commander growled, "They should not fight with such courage. They are weak. They are nothing without us." The envoy's voice cut like steel. "They were nothing without you. Now they are everything without you." The chamber grew silent. The truth hung heavy in the air. The Terran fleet alone was terrifying. But united with the broken worlds, it had become unstoppable. Still, the alien leaders clung to defiance. "Your allies will turn on you, human. Once they are free, they will fear you as they feared us. They will see you as conquerors." The envoy's gaze did not waver. "Perhaps, but humanity does not build empires of chains. We build bonds of survival. They fight with us not because they must, but because they choose." Another explosion lit the screens. The alien counterfleet launched its attack. Thousands of ships charged, desperate to crush the uprising before it spread further. The void lit with fire, missiles and beams tearing through the darkness. The Terrans did not retreat. They moved in perfect formation, allied ships weaving with them. Together they met the storm. The clash shook the stars. Inside the chamber, tension rose with every blast. Some alien commanders leaned forward, their faces pale. If they win here, if they truly win, then nothing can stop them. The elder general who had once doubted humanity's nature spoke at last, his voice low. "They are not fighting for conquest. They are fighting for something greater. That is why they will not break." On the screen, a sudden twist unfolded. A section of the Terran fleet broke formation, drawing the enemy deep into the trap. The alien counterfleet pushed forward, believing they had found weakness. But as they advanced, the hidden Terran flagship shifted, its massive cannons igniting. The allied ships closed in from both sides. The trap snapped shut in moments. Entire sections of the alien counterfleet vanished in fire. Their numbers meant nothing against coordination and resolve. The galaxy watched as empires that once believed themselves eternal were humbled in hours. The chamber shook as the battle ended. Silence followed, broken only by the faint hum of failing systems. The alien commanders stared at the wreckage on the screens. Their counterstrike had failed. The envoy stepped forward. His voice was soft but carried like thunder. "You still believe you can break us, but every strike makes us stronger. Every world you burn becomes another ally. Every act of cruelty becomes another reason for your fall. Your empire dies not by our hands, but by your own." One alien shouted in desperation, "You cannot end us all. You cannot fight forever." The envoy's eyes darkened. "We do not need forever. We only need today, and today the galaxy has chosen." He turned and walked toward the doors. Behind him, silence gripped the chamber. No commander dared to speak, for deep inside they knew the truth. Their counterstrike had failed, their fear had returned, and their empire had begun to crack. And in that silence, the rise of Terran might burn brighter than ever. The galaxy trembled after the failed counterstrike. Stars still burned with wreckage, and the whispers of fear spread faster than light. In the vast halls of the alien council, silence weighed on the commanders like chains. They had thrown their fleets against the Terrans and their allies. Yet the humans had not only survived, they had grown stronger. One general leaned forward, his voice sharp and cold. "If we cannot defeat them in open war, then we must weaken them in the shadows." Another hissed in agreement. Yes, we cannot face their fleet, but we can strike their supply lines, poison their alliances, turn their allies against them. A younger commander shook his head. Their allies are too loyal now. They believe in the humans. They see them as saviors. The elder general's eyes narrowed. Belief can be broken. Nothing holds forever. We will spread doubt, whisper lies, divide them before they rise further. The human envoy, standing in the center of the chamber, spoke without raising his voice. Do you think whispers will stop what you could not stop with fleets? Do you think lies will cut deeper than truth? The aliens turned to him, hatred and unease mixing in their eyes. One snarled, You speak of truth as if you own it, human, but power decides truth. And we still hold power in the far reaches of the galaxy. The envoy's calm expression did not change. Power is nothing without trust, and you lost the galaxy's trust long ago. Outside, the stars told their own story. Fleets from distant worlds began to move. Some sailed proudly beside the Terrans, raising banners of rebellion. Others drifted in silence, watching, waiting, unsure if siding with humanity would save them or doom them. In the darkness of another system, a secret meeting took place. Alien rulers sat around a dimly lit table. Their voices were hushed, trembling with both fear and anger. We cannot face the Terrans head-on, one said, but what if we bend? What if we offer them alliance before the others do? Another slammed his fist. Bend to humans. Never. We are rulers of 1,000 worlds. A third leaned closer, his voice soft and dangerous. Then we let the humans fight the others first. When both are weak, we strike and take the galaxy for ourselves. The chamber filled with murmurs. Some nodded, some looked away. The galaxy was fracturing, not into two sides, but into many. Meanwhile, on the Terran flagship, human commanders gathered around a glowing map of the stars. Lines of enemy movement lit the screen, but so did the growing fleets of their allies. The atmosphere was tense but steady. One officer spoke. Our strength grows, but so does the risk. These worlds look to us for guidance. If we falter, they will turn on one another, another replied. Then we cannot falter. We must strike fast and strike hard. Show them that unity wins. The envoy entered the room, his presence quiet yet commanding. The officers turned toward him. He studied the map without a word, then spoke. The galaxy does not understand yet. They think this is only war, but this is more. This is a test. And every eye is watching, one commander asked. And if they betray us? The envoy's gaze sharpened. Then we remind them of what happens to those who mistake patience for weakness. In the days that followed, messages spread through the stars. Some worlds pledged loyalty to the Terrans. Others plotted in silence. Rumors whispered of assassins sent to strike human leaders, of fleets hidden in nebulae waiting for the right moment to betray. On a distant outpost, a Terran patrol intercepted a transmission. The words were broken by static, but clear enough. The humans will bleed, their allies will scatter. Strike when the moment is right. The officers brought the message to the envoy. He listened in silence, then spoke softly. They still believe they can break us with fear, but they do not see. Fear no longer belongs to them. Back in the alien council chamber, anger boiled. Every day more worlds leave us, one commander growled. Every day the humans gain strength. The elder general's voice was bitter. We tried to enslave them, but in doing so, we awakened them, and worse, we awakened the galaxy. Another leaned forward, desperation in his tone. Then what remains? If fleets fail, if fear fails, then only one path is left. We must kill their leaders, cut off the head, and the body dies, the council murmured, their eyes dark. A new plan was forming. But the envoy, though not present, seemed to sense it on the flagship. He spoke to his officers. They will not stop. Every strike we endure will only prove our strength. And when their final betrayal comes, the galaxy will watch who stands and who falls. The battlefields of space still smoldered, but the real war had shifted. It was no longer only cannons and fleets. It was whispers, betrayals, secret blades waiting in the dark. Yet through it all, untruth rang louder than fear. Humanity had risen, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The galaxy's silence was heavy after the great battles. The fires of war still glowed in the dark. But the real danger no longer came from fleets. It came from shadows. The alien empires had failed to crush humanity with force, so they turned to secret blades in hidden chambers far from the stars. Alien leaders whispered together. Their voices were low, bitter, desperate. "We cannot outfight them," one growled. "Their ships are too strong. Their allies too loyal." Another leaned closer. "Then we kill their leaders, cut away the head, and the body falls." The plan was set. Assassins would be sent, fleets would strike in betrayal. Humanity would bleed not from open battle, but from daggers in the dark. Back on the Terran flagship, the envoy stood before the great star map. Human commanders gathered around him. The tension was sharp. They had heard the whispers too. Intercepted transmissions confirmed what they feared. One officer clenched his fists. "They plan to kill you. They will send blades, bombs, spies. They cannot face you, so they will strike from the shadows." The envoy's gaze was calm, his voice steady. "Let them come." The officers looked at him in shock. "You would allow them to try?" He turned, his eyes sharp as steel. "They believe we are unprepared. They still see us as prey, but they will learn. Humanity was born in shadows. We know betrayal better than they do." The trap was set. Days later, the alien assassins made their move. In the corridors of the flagship, cloaked figures crept through the silence. Their weapons gleamed, their movements fast and precise. They slipped past guards, disabling systems with skill. Their target, the human envoy himself. One assassin whispered, "Strike fast, leave no survivors." Tonight the Terrans will lose their voice, but as they reached the central chamber, the lights flared. Human soldiers stepped from the shadows. Weapons raised, the assassins froze. Their trap had been turned against them. The envoy stood in the center of the room, waiting, his expression calm, his voice cold. "You thought we did not know. You thought whispers could hide from us. But every step you took was seen, every word you spoke was heard." The assassins hissed and lunged. The battle was swift. Human soldiers moved with precision. The clash of steel and fire filled the chamber. In moments, the assassins lay defeated, their mission shattered. The envoy stepped closer to the last surviving one, who trembled under his gaze. "Tell your masters this. We do not fear shadows. We are forged by them." At the same time, across the stars, betrayal fleets moved. Alien ships that had once pretended to ally with the Terrans suddenly turned their cannons. But when they fired, they found nothing. The Terran ships had already shifted formation. Traps laid in silence, hidden guns ignited, minefields erupted. The betrayal fleets were torn apart before they realized they were the prey. Allied ships that had sworn loyalty stood firm, firing beside the Terrans, proving their choice. In the alien council chamber, chaos erupted. Commanders shouted in panic as reports arrived. "Our assassins are dead, our fleets destroyed." The humans knew everything, the elder general's voice shook. "They did not only fight us with weapons, they fought us with patience. They waited, they listened. They let us betray ourselves." Another slammed the table. "How can they know every move before we make it?" The answer came not from the council, but from the envoy himself. His voice filled the chamber through their own comms. His image appeared before them, calm, sharp, unshaken. "You believed betrayal was your strength," he said. "But betrayal was always your weakness. It rotted your empires from within. It made you blind while you plotted in shadows. We built in light. While you whispered lies, we spoke truth. And the galaxy chose truth." The alien leaders stared in silence, some with rage, some with fear. They realized they had no path left. Their fleets broken, their assassins dead, their lies exposed. The envoy's eyes narrowed. "This is the end of your rule, not because we conquered you, but because you destroyed yourselves. Humanity only gave the galaxy a choice, and they chose to rise." Silence followed. The chamber that once echoed with arrogance now felt hollow. Their empire was gone, their power shattered on the flagship. Terran officers watched as allied fleets filled the stars, each banner different, yet each flying with pride. They were no longer slaves. They were no longer broken, they stood united. One officer whispered, "It is over." The envoy shook his head, his gaze on the stars. "No, it has just begun. Today we end their empire. Tomorrow we build something greater." The galaxy had turned. The chains of fear were broken. The rise of Terran might was complete. And in the silence of the stars, every world knew one truth. Humanity did not kneel. Humanity rose.